One of the most popular diets today is the ketogenic diet, or keto for short. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over what exactly the keto diet is, what it comprises of, and I'll also be talking about what the whole buzz is about, why it's so popular. And in the end, I'm going to be talking about some key points that you want to consider if you're interested in doing keto. So let's get into it. Hey, what's up guys? Newton Kwong here, helping you with long-term tips and strategies on how to eat better and live healthier. All of the information in today's video is for educational purposes. If you're looking for medical advice, then please consult with your healthcare professional. In addition, I also want to state that I've never done the ketogenic diet, nor do I plan to. I wanted to put this video together since this is such a popular topic and it's been something that I've been asked in the past. So I'm just consolidating my current understanding of what this diet entails, and I hope that this video is going to help you out. Keto is basically a diet that contains a very high amount of fat, a moderate amount of protein, and a very, very low amount of carbs. It's absolutely critical to maintain all of these three macronutrients within a tight balance. The reason why you would want to do this is because you want to get your body into a state of nutritional ketosis, which means that your body is going to switch its primary fuel source from carbohydrates over to fats. The classic form of the ketogenic diet comprises of 90% fat, 6 to 9% protein, and 0 to 4% carbohydrates. In recent times, there have been modifications to this macronutrient split to allow more leeway in protein consumption. The modified keto diet would consist of up to only 50 grams of carbohydrates per day, between 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass that you have, and then the rest of your total daily calories is going to comprise of fat. These are all the ranges that you want to keep in mind, and these are ranges that you want to stick to in order to stay in that state of ketosis, where you're burning fat as your primary source of fuel. When you're in ketosis, your body uses its fat to create something called ketones. And it's these ketones that take the place of carbohydrates in order to provide fuel to different organs within your body. This is important because in order for us to know if we're doing the ketogenic diet correctly, we would need to test the presence of these ketones in either our blood, our urine, or in our breath. That means on top of keeping a tight balance on the nutrients that you eat in your diet, you will also periodically need to test for ketones within your body to know if you're on the right track. Alright, so with all of that procedural, logistical, and scientific stuff out of the way, let's get right down to it. Why do people want to do this diet? Like, what's the whole buzz about it? Why is it so popular nowadays? In my opinion, I think that the main appeal behind this diet and why so many people want to start doing it is because it promises to burn more body fat. When we want to lose weight, we want most of that to come from our body fat, and the keto diet promises that most of the energy that we use is going to come from directly just that, from our body fat. In essence and in theory, if we were to do keto correctly, then we can become a fat burning machine 24/7. Seeing as how that's one of the main promises behind the keto diet, it's not surprising to see the mass appeal that's following it. There's a lot of truth to that promise because if you think about it, most of what you're eating is fat. So that means that the body is naturally just going to burn more fat because that's what you're feeding it. On the other hand, since most of what you're eating is fat, your body is also going to store more fat. For most people, they want to do keto because they want to lose weight. And that means that we've got to burn more fat than we're actually storing. The only way that we can determine if this is actually happening is if we track the calories that we're eating and making sure that it's underneath the amount of calories that we're burning on a daily basis. Just doing the keto diet is not going to absolutely guarantee that there's going to be weight loss. We still need to take into account the overall intake and the overall consumption of food that you have in order to generate weight loss results. Although it may seem like I'm trying to dispel some of the supernatural weight loss qualities of the keto diet that some of its proponents claim, and I kind of am, I also want to take the time to break down some of the unique advantages of the keto diet. Since you're eating mostly fat, you're going to feel a lot fuller when doing keto. Fat takes the longest time to empty out of your stomach, and it's hard to eat a lot of fat in just one sitting. If you want to test that out, then try eating a whole stick of butter or eating several slices of cheesecake all at once, and do your best to try to keep that down. It's very, very hard to do so. With the makeup of this diet, it's actually very difficult to overeat, and this could be a major benefit for people who struggle with eating large portion sizes. When you're eating mostly fat and protein, then you're going to be able to get fuller off of less food, and you'll be able to stay fuller for longer periods of time. You may find that you're going to eat less meals when you're on the keto diet. Plus, another thing that I want to add to that is that since you're virtually cutting out all of your carbohydrates, you're eliminating huge food groups from your diet, which include a lot of highly processed foods that are high in sugar and high in excess calories. When all of that is stripped out of your diet, then you can bet that you're going to see improvements in your health. You're going to see decreased systemic inflammation in your body, and you're also going to see increases in your insulin sensitivity. All of these are positive health markers, and those are things that you would expect when you switch to a healthier diet. With keto, it's going to be very hard to maintain the intake ranges that I stated earlier in this video without switching to more nutrient-dense foods. By way of eating foods that contain more nutrition, you can definitely expect to become healthier. In addition, if you're an endurance athlete or if you do any type of endurance exercise such as long distance running or any type of extended cardiovascular activity, then the keto diet may be of interest to you. It's been observed that ketones in the long term can have a protective effect against oxidative stress and against cellular damage, which can occur as a result of endurance exercise. A lot of great benefits to doing keto, so let's go into what exactly it is that you would eat when you're doing the keto diet. For carbohydrates, you would eat vegetables that are very high in fiber. Remember, you don't want to eat anything over 50 grams of carbohydrates per day. You would eat mostly green leafy vegetables. You wouldn't eat any root vegetables or tubers such as potatoes or carrots because those can actually add up in carbohydrates really quick. So you're quite limited in that arena. For protein, you should be eating fatty cuts of meat, fatty cuts of fish, eggs, and also a little bit of poultry as well. Remember, you want the fat content to be high and you want the protein to be just moderate. I would recommend against eating plant-based proteins such as lentils, beans, and legumes because of its high carb content. It's going to be hard to get your protein without getting a healthy dose of carbs from those sources too. The only way that would work is if you had a plant-based protein powder, which is purely protein without any of the carb content. Yet, if you're ingesting a powder such as that, it can still provide a high insulin response due to the amount of protein that's consumed within one serving. So if you were to go down that route, then I would recommend that you mix in some fat with your protein powder just to suppress the oncoming insulin response from that meal. Also, you can get your protein from nuts and seeds as well, although it's to a lower extent because nuts and seeds contain more fat than it does protein, but that would make the perfect food for the ketogenic diet. And finally, for fats, you want good quality oils, cold pressed, extra virgin, and unrefined. Examples of these can be coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, and also avocado oil. Speaking of which, avocados in itself are good sources of fats when it comes to keto. You can also include different types of butters, nuts, and also the fatty cuts of meat and the fatty cuts of fish that I had mentioned earlier for protein. What you would want to avoid are vegetable and seed oils since those are highly processed. Those are just very general recommendations as to what can be included in the keto diet, and I'm sure there's many other foods that you can eat too. The final thing that I want to get into is testing. As I mentioned, that is going to be an important component of knowing whether you're in ketosis or not. There are 3 areas in which you can detect the presence of ketones, and that's in your blood, in your urine, and in your breath. You would use something called a blood ketone meter in order to measure the ketones in your blood. This is the most accurate test to detect if you're in ketosis or not, but it's also the most expensive. The common brand of this test is Precision Extra. For urine testing, you would use ketone strips. This is the most easily accessible test and also the cheapest one that you can find, but the accuracy is going to vary between person to person. The most common brand for this test is Keto Sticks. And finally, for breath tests, you would use a breath analyzer, and the common brand for this type of test is called Ketonix. You can pick any one of these tests and make sure to use them on a periodic basis to ensure that you're in a state of ketosis. This is actually important for you to know if you're in compliance with the diet. Otherwise, you may be wasting your time. So make sure that you have a scheduled testing routine. All right, so that's my very general overview of the ketogenic diet. There's a lot that goes into it, yet there's also a lot of benefits to the diet too. So if any of that sounded interesting to you, then why not give it a try? Give it a try, see if this is something that you can potentially stick to long term. And if it is, then great. It's a match made in heaven. But if you feel like the sacrifices are way too much with this diet, then rest assured that this won't be the only diet that's going to increase your health. There are many ways in which you can increase your health and lose weight that doesn't require you to make as many sacrifices and endure as many restrictions with the keto diet. As always, the best diet is the one that's going to promote good nutrition and is the one that you can stick to for a long period of time. Make sure that you take that into consideration when you're trying out the keto diet. With all of that being said, are you gonna try the keto diet? Let me know in the comments below. And also, if you have any questions on anything that I've discussed in this video, leave those questions in the comments down below as well. If you enjoyed this video and felt that you learned something, then please consider liking this video and also subscribing to my channel for more content just like this. Also, check out my videos on the next screen, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.